Perseus and the Gorgon's head. Background: Greek mythology evolved thousands of years ago. There was a need to explain natural events, disasters, and events in history. Myths were created about gods and goddesses who had supernatural powers, human traits, and human emotions. These ideas were passed down in beliefs and stories. Perseus, one of the most legendary heroes of antiquity, was the son of Zeus and Danae. Zeus was the king of the gods, and Danae was the daughter of Acrisius, the mythical king of Argos, a city in Greece. Acrisius, the king of Argos, was warned by an oracle that his grandson would kill him, so he made up his mind never to have a grandson. He locked up his daughter Danae in a bronze room with only a small barred opening for light and air, so that no man could come near her. Zeus, however, descended through the roof of the tower in the form of a shower of gold, and the lovely Danae became his bride. For 4 years, Acrisius remained unaware of this union. One evening, as he passed by Danae's chamber, he heard the cry of a young child coming from within, which led to the discovery of his daughter's marriage with Zeus. Enraged at this, Acrisius ordered the mother and child to be placed in a chest and thrown into the sea. But it was not the will of Zeus that they should die. He told Poseidon, the god of the sea, to calm the troubled waters and cause the chest to float safely to the island of Seriphus. Dictys, brother of Polydectes, king of the island, was fishing on the seashore when he saw the chest on the beach. Dictys took care of Danae and Perseus, and they lived in his house for many years until Perseus had grown to be a young man. Throughout these years, the king of Seriphus, Polydectes, pursued Danae. Although she refused, saying she could never love him, he continued to pester her. Only the watchfulness of Perseus prevented him from achieving his aim. The two men grew to hate each other, and Polydectes longed to be rid of Perseus. Then came a day when Polydectes held a great feast and invited all the nobles and warriors of Seriphus. While the wine was flowing, he asked his guests to say what would be the best gift for a king. One after another, the men talked of nice common gifts, but Perseus jokingly suggested the head of a Gorgon. Seizing the opportunity, Polydectes commanded Perseus to make his suggestion come to fruition. Perseus was to bring Polydectes the head of a Gorgon. That evening he prayed to Hermes and to Athena, and both gods appeared to him. They told him what he must do to succeed in his quest. Hermes gave Perseus a curved knife of adamant and a pouch for the Gorgon's head. He lent the youth his own golden winged boots, which enabled him to speed through the heavens, and his wide-brimmed cap that made the wearer invisible. Athena lent Perseus her bronze shield to use as a way to reflect their images. Perseus fell to his knees in gratitude and thanked the gods for the gifts. With his gifts, he flew to the home of the Gorgons, who were fast asleep. Perseus had been warned that whoever looked upon these weird sisters would be turned into stone. He stood there before the sleepers with his face turned away and caught their reflection on Athena's bright metal shield. Then, guided by the goddess Athena, he cut off the head of the Medusa, which he placed in his bag. He moved quickly to escape the two surviving sisters who were eager to avenge the death of their sister. His invisible helmet and winged sandals served him well. The helmet hid him from the view of the Gorgons, while the sandals carried him quickly over land and sea, far beyond their reach, like prey escaping its predator. Perseus traveled until he arrived at Ethiopia, the kingdom of King Cepheus. The king's wife, Cassiopeia, boasted that she was more beautiful than the nymphs of the sea, and a punishment befell the city. Perseus found the country inundated with floods, towns and villages destroyed, and everywhere signs of ruin. Poseidon had devastated the country with a terrible flood, which brought with it a huge monster that devoured all that came in its way. In their distress, the unfortunate Ethiopians went to the oracle of Jupiter Ammon. The oracle told them that only by sacrificing the king and queen's daughter, Andromeda, to the monster could the country and the people be saved. Cepheus, who loved his child, at first refused to listen to this dreadful proposal, but eventually, overcome by the prayers of his people, the heartbroken father gave up his child. Andromeda was chained to a rock on the seashore to serve as prey for the monster. When he learned of this, Perseus proposed to Cepheus to slay the monster on condition that Andromeda should become his bride. The king gladly agreed, and Perseus raced to the rock to breathe words of hope and comfort to the trembling maiden. Then he put on the helmet of Hades, flew into the air, and awaited the approach of the monster. Soon the sea opened, and the head of the gigantic beast appeared above the waves. Perseus suddenly darted down and held the head of the Medusa before the eyes of the monster. The beast's hideous body was gradually transformed into a huge black rock. Perseus rescued the maiden and delivered her to her happy parents, and the two were soon wed. After bringing the Gorgon's head to Polydectes and turning him to stone, Perseus returned the winged boots, cap, pouch, and knife to Hermes and the bronze shield to Athena. He made a gift of Medusa's head to Athena, and the goddess set it to the center of her shield. Then Perseus and Andromeda went to his birthplace Argos to make peace with his grandfather. But the old man, hearing that Perseus was on his way and remembering the words of the oracle, feared that his grandson had come to kill him. He fled to the land of the Pelasgians. Perseus became king of Argos in his stead and ruled it wisely for many years. But what the fates have decreed can never be averted. Perseus traveled one spring to a far country to take part in their public games. There he threw a discus, which struck and accidentally killed his grandfather, who by chance was among the spectators, and thereby was the innocent cause of his death. And so at last the prophecy was fulfilled. Many great heroes were descended from Perseus and Andromeda, including Heracles, their great-grandson. The Romans called him Hercules.